the gray area that we used to all dwell in on this earth in these times is getting more and more defined as the two consciousnesses separate into dark and light. We're calling them that just for description purposes, as the sort of 3D world is referring to the dark energy. So external, money-driven, greed, manipulation, powerful energies manipulating people, that's the dark. Modern day slavery, anything that manifests into war, trying to control what other people do. Whereas the light forces are more of a 5D world, new earth, new consciousness, one love. This is where you dwell when you're feeling good, when you're feeling great and you're doing something you love, when you're an artist and you're painting, when you're a singer and you're singing, when you're playing, you're a child playing. This is your 0 point force where you are just in your happiness, in your spark of joy, in your state of being. So this 5D world is allowing that state of being to be ever present in our human form for longer and longer lengths of time, and really embodying that and living and stepping into this world and living in this light body of upward spiraling progressive consciousness. That's the white squares on the board, on the checkerboard, the dark squares on the checkerboard being regressive, old paradigm, lack mentality, scarcity, I'm worried that everything's going to go wrong, or just affirming that everything's going to go wrong if you don't enslave yourself to old ideas and ways of being that don't make you feel good. Bottom line, what makes you feel good is where you want to be. And you have to trust in the universe to deliver. I was really awakening to how tangible energies could be seen and felt. Some people really have a vision and see them. Some people hear them. Some people feel them. I'll just tell you, for those who are from Winnipeg and can understand what I'm saying, I'm giving you one random example because it's so significant in my life, is that I was spending a lot of time in St. Boniface. And I was around the energies of the Grey Nuns and the cemetery around there with Louis Riel. And there's like a beautiful Jesus statue near the hospital where his heart is open. And honestly, I was just feeling a lot of creativity, a lot of joy, a lot of expansion in that whole entire neighborhood. And then when I would cross the bridge into the downtown, suddenly everything would be checkerboard. And I don't know how to describe that, except for it was just really obvious to me. I kept literally seeing black and white checkerboards everywhere, talking to me, telling me that in the financial district, you have a lot of white energy and a lot of dark force energy, and they coexist. So you might have, for example, a lot of creatives, a lot of art going on, a lot of healing going on, and then also a lot of greed, lies, manipulation, and money-related stuff going on. So that's the checkerboard, the coexistence of these two frequencies. So you might find in certain parts of your town or city, there's less of a checkerboard, and then you might go, for example, into the central business district and feel that checkerboard pattern happening. When we fall into the dark forces of the checkerboard, we might be falling into, for example, this is just practical everyday life here, a job that we hate. And reason being, very, very good reason. I've got to get food on the table. I have kids. I've got to pay for daycare. I need to work this job that I hate that makes me feel miserable. Now, the tough thing about this inner work is that we have to realize there's a chicken and egg effect going on here. So you create this cycle when you do something you hate all the time, you're vibrating at that frequency, and more things that displease you are going to keep crashing into your life. When you find that you spend your time doing something you enjoy, or at the very least accept and are content about, okay, and you find your sparks of joy throughout the day, doing small things you love, being with people that spark your joy, you're going to attract more of the things that you love and the things you enjoy into your life. So you need to realize you're not vibing that way because you hate your job. You're not vibing that way because the X, Y, and Z has happened to you and you had this bad luck. You have the bad luck and the bad job because you're already at the vibration that called that job into your life. I'm not saying from a practical sense that people deserve this or that they chose to be in a tough situation. What I'm saying is a tough situation is your opportunity for growth, your opportunity to take back your life and to take control of your inner vibration so that you vibe a new opportunity. So you just drop the thought, you don't try to solve it, you go inward, you do your inner work, you're spiritual, you're connecting to your higher self, okay, who you really are before that tiny little part of you incarnated onto this earth. Your higher self is literally watching you right now, and it's saying, I will point you in the direction of all these different opportunities if you just connect to me. When you're meditating, you keep it simple. You don't have to try too hard. That's why we do what we do. If you are staying inward and feeling good, you're in a high frequency. You're simply tapping in to your point of joy, whatever makes you spark. That's how you connect to your higher self. There's a reason that you spark up, you light up when you do certain things. Someone whose destiny isn't to be a baker isn't going to really light up when they have to bake something. But if you're baking cupcakes and you're just smiling and you're in your joy and you don't even know time and space, you're just so into your craft of making cupcakes, that's one of your sparks of joy. Everyone has different ones. So when you feel good and something really lights you up, that's an indication that it's one of the activities that you are destined to do because it brings you into a high frequency. So embrace it, do it. Some of the things we can fall into, and I mentioned this a little bit in my other video, my Mercury retrograde video, is that when you fall into old patterns that seem like the path of least resistance, but really they're just revisiting old habits. Maybe you're getting drunk, or you're speaking ill about yourself, or you're speaking ill of others. Sometimes we get into these gossipy moods, but they start to make us feel yucky. It lowers your vibration. So it starts to distance you from your higher self. We want to surrender to our higher self. So you don't get mad at yourself and go, oh, this feels too good, I better not do it. That's some old paradigm, because we've been conditioned to think that work isn't supposed to feel good, or that we're supposed to, for 8 hours a day, not feel good. It's not true. So surrender to your higher self, and as much as possible at this time, do what makes you feel good. And hopefully you can lengthen that amount of time that you do whatever makes you feel good, more and more each day, each week, until you're always doing things that make you feel good. The thing is, it takes some work. Sometimes it takes discipline. You get up in the morning, you're just not in this paradigm. You discipline yourself. That's why we have a practice. So you'll drop into a practice, and within minutes, you're like, oh yeah, I feel better. That's why I do this. Like, you can go from so depressed to just like, oh yeah, things are going to be fine, just by dropping into some breath work. So you drop into this discipline, you go, I do this for at least 10 minutes a day, every morning when I wake up. Start with that. What you're doing is, by doing the work and putting in the effort, you're meeting your spirit halfway. You're meeting the universe halfway. And when you keep up and you do that work, the universe meets you halfway. Now you're working together. Now you're accepting the gifts. The universe is delivering the gifts. And you're at that happy equilibrium where you're just experiencing new planes of consciousness. It's fun, you know, not try too hard, just drop in and trust your higher self. Because when something doesn't align with your purpose, you're going to feel that. You're just not going to feel good. You're going to feel icky or bored or just, no, that's not for me. And that's fine. You need to listen to that and honor that. It's going to trigger those who have no connection to source. So they might criticize you, they may throw shade at you. The more you vibe your wealth, and by wealth I don't mean money, I mean your gratitude for your life just the way it is. When you vibe that, you're going to trigger those who aren't in their gratitude, their wealth. The reason that they are triggered is because they're addicted to their scarcity vibration. Their whole life is fueled by fear of scarcity. I won't have enough money. Oh, my retirement fund. That's all fine and good, but it shouldn't be number one because it's getting in the way of you leading a happy life. And once all is said and done and your life is over, it was just made up of each now moment. So number one cannot be about fear of scarcity. It needs to be about love and feeling good. It's the law of the universe. Your whole life is made up of now moments. There's nothing that exists outside of this now moment. You decide now. People are sleeping, okay? They are not dark forces in and of themselves. They are just sleeping and dark forces are operating through them. They may be conditioned from a young age, like we all are, to listen to their parents. So if you do this, you'll get a cookie. If you do what I say, you'll get allowance. So that manifests into, if we do what the law says or what the government says, even if it goes against our logic and our instincts and what makes us feel good and what makes others feel good, and it might even be unhealthy for us, you're addicted to having parents tell me what to do, tell me the right thing to do. That's not trusting in yourself, and that's not trusting in your higher self. You tell you what to do. You're naturally compassionate. You want what's best for you and others. You don't need to wait for some parent, external force to tell you what's right. What's the right thing to do? You know the right thing to do. And it's not very likely something rule-based that's benefiting the rule maker, okay? If there's a rule, more likely than not, it's benefiting those who made the rules in some way that has nothing to do with you. So back to people. They are sleeping, so they become a channel for dark forces. You do a lot of alcohol or have a lot of addictions, you become a channel for dark forces. You don't have a practice and you're getting up every day and working 16 hours a day at a job you hate. Your aura is weak and dark forces are getting in. Okay, we need to spend time pumping up our aura so that we have this beautiful sphere around us of protection, of light, and we are in our center. Dark forces can't get in and they can't mess with us. We do this with love, with connection to others, and with joy. Good food, good karmic food expands your aura. Bad karmic food, meaning dark forces, maybe it's packaged food that serves or some sort of conglomerate that harms the environment or has a lot of pesticides in it and gives a lot of money to these pesticide kings, corporate kings. This is sort of bad karma for you to eat. Check out the 2 meditations I recommended in my Merc retrograde video. The links are underneath the Mercury retrograde video. So these are for prosperity and creativity, so that you are self-creating your reality. We don't have to try super hard. We just drop in, and when something feels bad and rubs us the wrong way, we tune the radio, we change the radio to a different frequency until it feels good. We live in that frequency. It's all good. Most of our thoughts are coming in from a radio frequency. They are not necessarily your own thoughts. You are simply tuning in to a radio station. The thoughts are not serving you. You gotta change the station. When people are calling you up to complain about their life, they don't realize they're doing it necessarily. Friends venting is definitely a good thing. We all lean on each other, and that's beautiful. I do it. But when it becomes a pattern and it's sucking the energy out of you, or the person complaining isn't really seeking change, they're just seeking to get back into that pattern and do it again and do it again, you need to ask yourself, what's going on? Are there forces operating through this person because they're vulnerable, because they're weak, and it's sucking you out of your vortex? Okay, so you need to stay in your vortex to make sure you're healthy, happy, and your physical health definitely depends on this. This is where illnesses and dis-ease manifest, is when you're not in your vortex, 100%. There's water. Your body is made up of water, and the electricity communicates and causes energy to flow through your body on these beds of water. This is how your neurons talk to each other. This is your mental health. I was thinking about Masaru Emoto and that the Japanese scientist who was studying the effect of water molecules when you speak negative words to them. And so you can look that up. I'm sure a lot of you probably have seen this going around on the internet and saying, I can't do this, I'm not worthy, hate, words like that. The water molecules would, when frozen, crystallize into these different shapes and patterns. And when you used words like, I'm grateful, I love you, they would crystallize into these beautiful, sacred, geometric, symmetrical patterns. Think about your effect, the effect of words on the water molecules in your body. The water is the bed for the cellular communication and the neuron communication. So the way the cells speak to each other and decide to operate, right? When the cells don't operate properly or they're misaligned, you get cellular reproduction that is abnormal. So that would be cancer. You get inflammation. So that would be all sorts of autoimmune disease. People talk about Lyme disease, allergies, arthritis. These are all manifestations of energetic blocks and misalignments. The way that you speak to yourself and the vibration that you carry and live amongst and live around, your health depends on it. The water is the bath that houses the DNA and the neuron communication. You have all this dormant DNA in your body that you can activate. You can change your DNA through practice, through conscious practice, okay? I do Kundalini yoga to change my DNA, to change the way my neurons communicate, my cells, your organs being happy depends on your vibrational frequency, your consciousness, and your intentions. Your brain functions, your digestion, your arteries clogging, that's an energetic problem in the West. Yes, it's caused by an unhealthy diet, but is it the chicken or the egg? That's something to really consider. I really want to drive home that the energetics of heart disease are the major factor. There are so many ways to unblock the energy, to make your heart happy, your brain happy. The negative talk, the negative self-talk, or being around others that are constantly complaining, this literally changes the cellular communication in your body and in their body. The molecules become disorganized and cause dis-ease. People are really getting used to this, oh, just do your part and follow the rules, especially in these times that we've been experiencing over the last year. They mean well, obviously, but you have to realize that that's not a sovereign thought, that's not a sovereign idea. That is some force operating through them. They're trying to control you. It's as if your own actions are going to affect them somehow. This is a brainwash. This is not true. So telling you what to do is a form of manipulating you and controlling you. You need to cut that out of your life for your health. Again, it's that dark force coming through a sleeping person because they think that external factors are going to make them feel better. If you do this, I'll have a good life. If you do this, I'll live longer. No, that's enough. Self-fulfilling prophecies are all too common in our culture. You call someone up, you say, "How you doing?" They say, "Well, I'm hanging in there." Well, you get where I'm going with this. So every time you talk to them, they're hanging in there. Why aren't you? I'm great. I'm fantastic. I had a great day. That's a big alarm bell, okay? Change it. Family, parents, whatever, they think that you have to do something to make them feel good. Oh, I'm worried about you. You got to make sure you do this. You got to make sure you do that. That is somebody, again, they're not really looking at if you're happy or you're fulfilled. They're saying you have to do something to make me feel better. That's manipulating you. That's manipulating a person who is not them to make them feel better. Love them, send them love. Don't let that affect you, okay? That is someone manipulating your energy to give them some sort of sense of comfort. And again, it's based on a dark force energy. A light force energy would be free, open, constantly learning, accepting new things, observing. Say you're working on some sort of artistic project and you're like, well, why is my family not supporting this? They don't even realize they're doing it. What I'm getting at is they're kind of just ignoring the fact that you're doing it, not realizing that you're pouring your whole life into it and that it's really your passion. But yet, if you got some sort of academic trophy for something in academia, they'd all be sending you congratulation cards. So a lot of people experience this. Okay, this is a fear-based manipulation tactic of dark forces operating through people. Again, they don't realize they're doing it. So lack of support of the choices you're making in your life is because you're triggering people who are sleeping into their own scarcity, their own fear-based projections of what one should do or shouldn't do, right and wrong. Now, we all have these characteristics within ourselves. So contrast exists, light and dark exists. It's in the flow. We can't erase one side or the other. We need dark to see the light. So as much as I'm saying what I'm saying, it's all in the flow of the universe. And whatever kind of darker contrasts you have within you, that's your shadow side. So it's important when you do see your shadow side come up, acknowledge it and acknowledge that that is a part of you. And then you can control it, or you can make sure it doesn't manifest into affecting other people negatively. Okay, it's not something we push away. We all have a shadow side, and I'm not going to nurture or feed it. It's really all that shadow work. You've heard of shadow work. It's basically that in a nutshell. Feel all of your feelings, even if they come from the shadow side, but be very aware that that's where it comes from. Be friends with your shadow. The way that we operate individually in our own sovereign way, our inner work, if each person does their inner work, that's how the whole world becomes harmonious and things fall into place in a way that creates an environment of thriving. Okay? And right now, there's a lot of this checkerboard, dark and light going on. So if you're going to put it out there, something spiritual, something high vibe, something super positive, and if you happen to receive a message in your inbox from someone who's really angry about this, defining you and like making up some crazy definition of you just based on your outlook on health and spirituality, consider the source. Don't worry about it. You're going to get a lot of people triggered right now, and it's okay. A lot of people are living their lives. Blame this, blame that. If you believe this, you must be in this camp. You can't be in this camp. No. But that's what the media wants you to believe. So there's a lot of people who need to define and categorize everyone into good or bad, stupid or not stupid. Let it happen. Be you. You know better than that. Step out of that. Change the radio station. You do you. Be love. Be light. Do what makes you feel good. That's it. Sat Nam.